Hola, soy Maestro H. I'm a teacher here for Spanish at Our Lady of Lourdes, and I really enjoy teaching Spanish. I've been teaching for probably about 18 years, and I've taught math, I've taught Spanish, I've taught adult medical Spanish, but I really love teaching just Spanish to elementary and middle school students. So right now I teach K through 8. Here it's a lot of grades. It's 9 different preps. But they all bring something different to the table. I have little kids and they pick up pronunciation really fast, and they have a lot of curiosity about the language. And then I have older kids who are really curious about culture. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about why Spanish is important to me as a teacher. And I brought two props. One is a gift that student brought to me this year. He went down to Mexico and he brought this back. It's a ceramic skull, and for some people, like, what's that all about? But this is about Dia de los Muertos, and it's also, we can look at it as the style. It was all hand painted, and it's a specific style. The only thing that's like not super Mexican about it is that you can't see the eyes, and traditionally Aztecs would always put the eyes in it. But this for Dia de los Muertos is like a way of like laughing at death. It's a religious tradition, and I love how something as simple or as basic as death can be seen so differently by people who are in another culture. And Mexico is Western, just like the US is Western, and yet there's different thoughts about something as basic as death. In Spanish, we say, el hombre está muerto, is temporarily dead, because most people are Catholic, and even people who aren't Catholics actually say it, because it's weird to say they're permanently dead, because there's a permanent and temporary death. So, está muerto. They're dead now, but they're going to go to heaven. And then on Dia de los Muertos, their spirit can come down to earth, and we can have a meal with them. And like this idea that we can engage with them is pretty cool. I've practiced it, and I really enjoy engaging with students around this topic, because they have lots of questions. And then we put up an altar here, and students are always curious, and they ask if they could bring a picture and if they could share a memory of somebody. And we're like, great, this is one way to relive and share some of the memories and experiences you had with them. So I was appreciative that a student brought it. I don't always get gifts like this, but when I do, I'm like, they remembered me. Anyway, this other prop this is a box, which is like the most strange prop perhaps, but it's really beat up. It's kind of old. Yeah, it's worse now because I've had it for a couple of years since I moved back. But I used to live in Nicaragua. I'm Nicaraguan American, and Nicaragua post office operates really differently. If you send a package, it has to be wrapped. And I'm like, I don't have paper. And they said, well, sometimes there's a woman who sells paper around here. So I had to go looking for her, and she had paper that she sold me. And then they don't meet her, so it all has to be stamps. And so I had to buy like hundreds of stamps for all the packages I sent back when I moved back to the United States. And they all say Nicaragua, and they had to count them before they sold them to me. And then when I turned it in, they had to go through the box and they had to count them again. And then there's a system of addresses. In Nicaragua, we have two different systems of addresses. We have a system like in the US, but there's another system that describes how to get there. So from the airport, down 2 blocks, take a left at the tree, and it's the White House. And that sounds really ridiculous, but even something as simple as addresses can be political. So in Nicaragua, there's people who say, I refuse to call the street like La Calle de Independencia, for example. Or it's what it used to be called is this. And so we have to have two systems in Spanish in Nicaragua. Not Mexico, but in Nicaragua we do. So when it shows the students, they have questions like, that sounds so cumbersome and inconvenient. I'm like, yeah, it is. But it's meaningful to people. There's a reason it exists and why we've been doing this since our Civil War, which is decades ago. So anyway, I hope that you guys, whoever's watching this video, really enjoys Spanish, but any language is awesome. And I tell my students, I don't care what language you want to learn, but I do care why. And in our school, I try to encourage students to be curious about the culture and community, and also to have a thirst for knowledge and learn that it can be like a puzzle that can help us. We can use like a mirror to look at our own culture and community and our own language, whatever language that might be. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for supporting Our Lady of Lourdes.